There's a new looming threat, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But first, I'm going to talk about what happened with Bitcoin yesterday. There was a little bit of a washout and a lot of people got liquidated. If you remember just 2 videos ago, I said that I was expecting a bit of a washout because of the number of leveraged longs that were in the system. Well, a bunch of whales probably thought the same and decided to liquidate those longs. And now it's happened. We sort of took a bit of a nosedive and then we're back up again. This is a very typical sign of a washout, right? Not related to any of the macro events, not really. But what these washouts tend to do is they tend to slow down the FOMO somewhat, and it makes people more aware of the macro events that might be a little bit fuddish, a little bit bearish, and then it kills the FOMO, and then we get the washout that I was expecting. I personally think that we're still going under 60 before we truly take off for the bull run. Anyway, that's just my opinion, no financial advice. We shall see what happens. My orders are still a little bit lower, so I didn't get executed in any one of these dips. I'm expecting another dip to go sub 60 in Bitcoin, and who knows what's that going to do to XRP. Obviously, if we get a liquidation wick on Bitcoin, it affects most of the other altcoins unless they're momentarily decoupled. So you expect to see the same on XRP. So I've got some orders down in the I won't says for XRP. Interestingly enough, we also saw an ancient Bitcoin wallet. I think it's one of the early miners who's a massive whale, apparently deciding to take some profits today for the first time. Kudos to them for holding for that long. If I was me, I probably would have taken a lot of profits a little bit earlier than that, perhaps in the last all-time high. But to be fair, we're only about 8 to 9% from the all-time highs anyway. So this is some of the best that they could have ever done anyway. Obviously, they haven't been doing any swing trading. They probably have a lot of money already. Who knows, maybe they took some profits from other cryptos. Anyway, we don't know who these people are. And that's kind of the power of cryptocurrencies, that even though the trades and the wallets and the ledger is public and people can tell that there's someone who's an ancient whale who's done this, we have no idea who the person is. Unless they've KYC'd in the place that they're cashing out at, then some authorities might know who they are, but the public has no idea, right? Which is a great power of crypto. Which leads me to the threat that I was talking about. The country of India, which has been somewhat bearish for the history of crypto, is turning even more bearish now. They're leaning on banning Bitcoin and privately held cryptocurrencies, especially personally hosted wallets, right? Now, we've heard this before. China went this route. They went like in the midst of the last bull market, China was negative about Bitcoin. They've kind of turned around a little bit and coming out the other side now as being sort of either neutral or at least slightly positive. Now, India is a large country, a huge economy with lots and lots of technical people that live in that country. So I don't think for a second that those very technically minded youth are going to be deterred by whatever the government says. They're going to hold their Bitcoin. They're going to find ways around whatever barriers are put around them. Indians are very smart people, and they will find, especially the youth, right? They will find their way around anything, right? So I don't think that's even going to move the needle when it comes to personally hosted wallets by the general population of the Indian people. However, the concept of making Bitcoin and personal cryptocurrencies illegal is nothing new in India. It's the government's sort of leaning. But what shows the Indian government off as hypocrites is the fact that they are pro CBDCs. So they don't want Bitcoins, they don't want XRP, they don't want any of that stuff, but they want a CBDC, which is a government-controlled digital system, right? So they want the government-controlled digital system so that they can control the people. So it's not about the technology. They embrace the technology. What they don't like is the freedom of the people to take their own financial matters into their own hands. And we've seen this in different countries. We've seen this in China. We've seen this in European countries. But because of the resilience of the people, governments are forced to find a kind of middle ground. I personally believe that there's going to be some kind of middle ground found when the government of India finally recognizes and realizes that the youth are not going to be budged by whatever they say, whatever the legislation says. There's VPNs, there's other ways of holding wallets anonymously. You can't hack someone's brain and ban their seed phrase in their head. They're going to get around it, and there's nothing they can do about it. And when the government realizes that, they're going to sit down and they're going to formulate regulations and find a middle ground between the two. Unfortunately, a large country like India introducing this kind of FUD is going to introduce a significant amount of FUD into the ecosystem, and people are going to respond to this. Traders in Wall Street are going to see this as a threat, and some of them might sell, and we might get some kind of FOD reaction. But all of this is just going to come back around when the bull run kicks out and India just realizes that they're missing out on the action. So how does this relate to XRP? Well, the XRP ledger itself, as we know, is a decentralized platform, right? It's a decentralized ledger. However, Ripple, the company, is not a decentralized company. It's an establishment, big financial organization, right? And now we have RLUSD, which is going to be a facilitator, unfortunately, of CBDCs around the world. So, this is not necessarily a bearish thing for XRP. It might so happen that India, being a member country of BRICS, it is the I in BRICS, it is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They might still indulge in RLUSD or somehow be linked with that as a bridge currency, or even straight up create their CBDCs on that ecosystem. And when that happens, it is still XRP token that fuels everything on the underground. Now, I'm not saying that BRICS will use a decentralized ledger like the XRP ledger directly for their, bridge currency or whatever, BRICS token, because again, these are powers, these are countries, Russia, India, China. They're not about to cede their national currency to some decentralized project somewhere. But they will work with a centralized company like Ripple that has the infrastructure, the global connection that they need, that gives them an alternative to something like Swift, right? And, they don't care what Ripple is using underground. As long as they can give direct instructions to Ripple, they can talk and sit down around the table and talk on that level. They don't care much what Ripple is doing underneath to facilitate that process, which is the XRP ledger and which is your XRP. So either way, XRP kind of benefits from this if that happens. Otherwise, there are alternatives. There are other countries, other projects that Ripple is participating in and collaborating with. Not financial advice. Do your own research, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.